Good evening and welcome to the City Council meeting for Monday, February 2nd, 2026. We will begin with a roll call and determination of quorum.
Lehman. Here. Maher. Here. Roberts. Here. Stroman. Here. Pettigrew. Here. Sechrist. Beaverdorf. Here. Tamang. Here. Evans. Meyer. Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Next, we'll have an invocation by Scott Wiley, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you're able and willing, would you please rise?
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you today with grateful hearts, acknowledging that you're the source of all wisdom and the ultimate authority over all nations and cities. We thank you for the privilege of gathering in this chamber to serve the people of this community. Lord, your word tells us in James 1:5 that if any of us lacks wisdom, we should ask you, and you will give it generously. So we ask that for that wisdom now for these council members as they deliberate on the issues before them. Grant them discernment and compassion and integrity. We pray for the peace and prosperity of our city. May the decisions made here tonight foster a community where families can thrive and businesses can grow and every neighbor feels valued and safe. So we commit this meeting into your hands, asking that your will be done. We pray this in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. We've got a motion by Lehman and a second by Roberts. All in favor? Any opposed? The agenda is adopted. Tonight we have a couple of presentations. First, we will have an update on the Park Ranger program, followed by the sports complex update. So please, Lou, come on up here. Jarrell Llewellyn is the supervisor of our Park Ranger program, really was the one who helped get it off the ground, and the floor is yours, sir.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, Council, and attendees. Like the Mayor said, my name is Jarrell Llewellyn, and I am the Rapid City Park Ranger Supervisor. Before I begin, I would like to express my gratitude to the Rapid City Police Department and the Rapid City Fire Department for their partnership and support in getting this program established, and even through continued training for our new hires and such. This program was established approximately a year and a half ago to ensure the safety of the park facilities, visitors, and personnel. Currently, we have 4 full-time park rangers plus one supervisor, which is myself, and we patrol the parks to ensure the safety of the green spaces and all the other facilities incorporated in that. Some of the common issues that we're seeing in the parks is some homelessness, public intoxication, and vandalism. Like I said, this program was created to maintain and enhance the safety of the park system. If people perceive the parks aren't safe, they just simply will not come. Since inception, we've had just over 29,000 patrol functions. Out of those patrol functions, 11,000, a little more than 11,000 total events included in those. 532 which were transitioned to law enforcement for some reason or another. Mainly we have the intoxicated folks that are in need and need to be transported to Care Campus. In addition, 59 incidents where we had to contact mobile medics or an ambulance to assist us in giving care for folks out on the parks. Park rangers are committed to the professional stewardship of the parks, open spaces, and recreational assets. Our goal is to gain voluntary compliance through education of the municipal codes and park rules. We're here to protect the natural resources and support safe and welcoming environment for all park users. And as you can see by this graph, our main issues there, some include restroom open enclosures, which is part of what this program is doing, is taking over some external security contracts and stuff like that, closing up restrooms and making sure those places are cleared and evacuated. Like I said, just general safety of the parks, from playgrounds to sports fields, hiking trails, and such. Rapid City is a community that has values and really likes their outdoor recreation. Safe place to be in Rapid City. Park systems long been thought to be safe places for the community to get out and explore. That's about all I have. Like, I would be open to any questions or comments at this time.
Well, thank you, Lou. Of course, I asked him to keep it short, but he did provide us with some fact sheets here. Any council members wish to ask any questions? Councilor Pettigrew.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So what type of training do you go through to perform this service, if I may ask?
So we're partnered up with the police department. We have critical incident training, constitutional law training. The Rangers ride along with me on patrol, learning the various park systems. I also have them ride along with a street crimes unit officer that is patrolling the city and doing similar functions to what we're out there looking for. Things like that.
Do you guys carry weapons at all?
The only type of self-defense we have is personal recognition and responsibility, officer safety type stuff. We do carry some OC spray, which they do go through training for that, also with a practical exam provided through the police department.
And my last question would be, I see there's a lot of incidents of sleeping in the park. I'm being serious here. My granddaughter was here this summer. I went down to the park with her, my daughter, a couple times. I laid in on a blanket and went to sleep. I mean, what determines who you're going to haul away if they're sleeping in the park? Thank you.
So sleeping in the park is basically sleeping on the grass or on a bench. Is identified in one of the municipal codes as considered disorderly conduct. So with that ordinance, if we feel there's a need, we can go up and just check on folks, do a welfare check. Hey, sir, you guys doing okay over here? And then by that interaction, we can make a determination on, hey, is this person able to care for themselves in an appropriate manner, or are they possibly highly intoxicated where they could fall victim of a crime or something of that nature?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Councilor Stroman.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, sir, for your presentation. I had a question about, do you end up rendering medical aid, or do you carry AEDs or have CPR training?
We do have CPR training, first aid. We have a first aid kit in the vehicles and stuff. I have a direct communication line with dispatch via radio, where we can make a determination on if it's a ambulance that's needed to come code, means running hot, a cold response, or if maybe a mobile medic may be able to take care of the situation.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Well, we appreciate that. Those numbers are pretty eye-opening. Tells you every day you're working hard, and I know we get a lot of great feedback from the citizens, and I thought it was important, especially since it was a newer program. You've given me updates, but we did want to share updates with the rest of the community as well as the council, of course, to make sure they knew the value of this program. So thank you
Yes,
very
sir.
much, and thank you to your
Mayor.
team.
Thank
And
you.
also good work in the recent cold snap. I know you were part with Journey On, the police department, fire department, and others who helped get folks to safe passage. You saved lives, and we appreciate the park rangers for doing that.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we are going to get an update from D'Amico Rodriguez. He is the head of the Sports Commission, and regarding the sports complex. D'Amico.
Thank you, council, mayor, and city staff. I think obviously the vote on January 20th was very influential to the Rapid City Indoor Sports Complex, and we received quite a few questions literally the day after the vote. And we wanted to make sure that we worked with the city staff to try to find alternative locations for this complex. Obviously, the mayors and city staff have been very favorable for this complex. But there's a lot of things that we wanted to make sure that we brought to attention to the public. And we'll go through some of those as we go forward. What we do know is we, as the commission, and I believe the city, would prefer to be at the Lean site. They're willing to work with this, but they have some time, or they need to take some time to figure out their course of action as well. Obviously, that was a very big loss for everybody, but I think the Lean family felt the majority of that loss. And if the complex was at the Lean site, we would need to figure out about $10 million plus for infrastructure. And is it possible? Obviously, the vote on the 20th was very influential to how we move forward with this project. As we were looking at additional sites, a couple of things of note. The location must be within the Catalyst District because the city did approve and council did approve $15 million towards that project. Also, additional options needed to be identified. And for the purpose of these options, city-owned property will reduce costs. And also, just for a scope of work, we're looking at a building or two buildings that equal about 205,000 square feet. And then also, losing the infrastructure piece that was tied to Liberty Land. Ideally, infrastructure would be in place, shared parking, things like that, and or obviously city sewer, all of the different infrastructure pieces as well. But also one thing that we want to note is in and out of the complex. We need to make sure that there's enough opportunity for people to get in and out because we expect about 1,000 people for an event. If there's events going on simultaneously, we've got to make sure that we can get in and out. And then the big one is about, thank you, Vicki and her team, for coming up with what those parking needs are. And for a building that size, we're looking at about 800 parking spots needed. So just the sheer size of this project is very large. Also, and I know not everyone can see this, the big piece is this is what's in the complex: 8 basketball courts convertible to 16 volleyball courts, indoor turf area, and the section highlighted on the right, we did increase the turf space to facilitate an entire indoor soccer field. And that was simply from talking to people in the industry. If you're going to build it, you might as well make it able to host events and also for community use. So we did increase that, which gives us about 205,000 square foot for all spaces, and the building footprint overall is about 179,000 square feet with about just over 14.5 acres for parking and everything. Just as a reminder for everybody, I will say the word wonky is how this has been proposed over time, the Catalyst district boundaries. But if you remember, it was to leverage the development with Black Hills Energy on Deadwood Avenue, and then obviously the far right or the east portion by Seeger Drive that is where the sports complex was proposed and still proposed. But also, if you noticed, the boundaries had to be contiguous, so they go all the way down, mostly through the floodway. But one little section over there that is cut out is Roosevelt, the Roosevelt Sports Complex that's in existence right now. So the good thing about this is it provides options for us. But again, 15 million is tied to development within this TIF boundaries, so we've got to be cognizant of the boundaries as we move forward. The first location that was proposed for reference for the public, that is 190 coming down south on the right side of this. And if you recognize this location, it is also Executive Golf Course. This is simply trying to find an area where we can get 400 to 500,000 square feet in one reasonable location for building, parking, and the whole complex. Again, not ideal, not one giant space. Also, it is free, so it is an option for the sports complex. Location number 2, for reference for the group, Central is right under the word location. The monument is on the top right of the map, and then all of those spaces around, again, 190 to the left, and then the different areas. Again, the goal is to try and get about 200,000 for the building. Now, the building can be broken into compartments, about 67,000 for court space, about the same amount for turf space, but ultimately, we've got this location does have some parking, some infrastructure. Obviously, the bocce courts are in the middle, but still not ideal because it's not a contiguous space. One thing of note is that I have talked to leadership at Central High School, and they are looking for a privately funded football/track stadium in that area adjacent to Central. And this is in the TIF boundaries. Their goal is to create an environment where their kids can practice and play on their campus. But also, one of the things that I said to them is, state track is not in Rapid City. And eventually, long term, we'd love to try and make a run at that. But because this is in the TIF boundaries, if there was ever additional development, that's where a good partnership with the school district may be able to help create something that is memorable not only for the community as well as the students on that campus. The third location is, for those that are familiar, this is Omaha Street. The building to the left there is the U-Haul building on Omaha. For reference, Vitalant has the orange roof, and then this is what is known as the pump track behind Rapid Creek. Again, a very large space for development. I would say we'd be running into some significant site work expenses with this location because it is on the side of a hill, or portions of it is on the side of a hill. But again, presenting all options for the complex. The last one, I think, is probably the most viable for several reasons. For people that are unsure this location, this is actually the park. There's 2 large buildings right in the middle there. That's Roosevelt Ice Arena at the top. There's a space that at one point in time, for Rapid City residents that are paying attention and are old enough to remember, there was actually an idea in about 2006 to create a field house between Roosevelt Ice Arena and Roosevelt Swim Center. And then, of course, we've got the 50-meter pool adjacent to that. The one thing that I would say about this particular space is we do have some parking available. Also, if you notice the baseball field that's just to the left of that site as well, that is, although it's outside of the TIF boundaries, when I was the president of Harney Little League, we did give that land or that ball field back to the city. And I know Parks and Rec has a plan to invest into that complex or that field. But if there was a need for additional parking, that could potentially be used for additional parking, with those monies be used for other projects, maybe to help the project. One thing of note, there is a building just off of Maple on that same plot of land. That shed is leased to Harney Little League, so there would be an expense if we were to try to leverage that for parking. We would need to also address the batting shed needs for Harney Little League. We couldn't take that away from them realistically. But there is some parking in place, and that is plenty of space for the complex as a whole if we were to build it on that site. The one thing that I did just want to note is the pro forma on the first page outlined about 67,000 square feet for 8 basketball courts. That is about what is in between the two buildings right now. So we would be able to put, I think we would need to adjust a little bit, but the majority of the courts would be able to sit in that space. We do have additional room on the back side in that 200,000 square foot area where we could build the turf space and potentially use for additional parking. But again, this is within the TIF boundaries. Obviously, Red Pesic Field is not. The one thing that I also want to note about the TIF boundaries for the Catalyst is the 50-meter pool. Again, if there was an opportunity for additional investment within the Catalyst district, there could potentially be additional funds to help cover that pool. And I know Stacy is here with the local swim club. That would be ideal. Then we would be able to develop a very large campus for sports in Rapid City. Just for and I apologize for the redeployment, that's actually, it's reinvestment that really loses the quote. But in one of our meetings, somebody said, development is much cheaper than redevelopment. And obviously the Roosevelt location, there would need to be a lot of redevelopment surrounding that complex for infrastructure, food, things like that, hotels. There's gonna be an expense to that. At this site here, again, the proposed site from the very beginning is a blank canvas, and we would be able to develop that, we, not the commission, I apologize, the city, the Lean family, and whoever they would sell land to or develop, they could develop this land. And it's much more favorable here, but knowing that we have to make up about $10 million, we've got to come up with options. And again, thank you for the city staff for providing options for us to even vet. It's a very large project, needs a lot of land. And with that, I also just want to go back to funding really quick, just to jog everybody's memory. This was the capital stack that we put up when we pitched this project about a year ago. Again, TIF funding is about $15 million. Again, the hotels have committed an extra $2 per room per night to help pay for this complex. So the hotel owners are invested in this as well. The Vision Fund allocation, I know the city's working hard on new market tax credits. We hope to hear something soon about those. Again, naming rights and secondary sponsorships. The price tag is about $25 million for this. That did not include infrastructure, land, or any of the ancillary pieces, which is why we were hoping to put it with Liberty Land, is because we were going to do some cost sharing with that. Now we have to figure it out on our own. Again, the Leans are willing to help us and be partners with this, but we still need to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the community and what the community needs right now and for the next 20 years. So with that, I can turn it over to any questions if anybody has any.
Thank you, D'Amico. First, we'll go to Bill Evans.
Thank you, D'Amico. As I sat here thinking about what in the city works, what in the city does not work, we're talking about a TIF zone that is not sacrosanct. We created it, we can uncreate it, we can change it, we can do whatever, because it was created by us. And so I'm thinking we're sitting there with a mall that's dead, all of this space, thousands upon thousands of acres of parking around it already there. All of the infrastructure in terms of electrical, sewer, water is there. Have we ever thought about working with the owner of that to take part of that building, redevelop it? All the common spaces could be within the structure, and then all the new facilities could be built around it, and then we're also fixing a blighted part of the city. I'm just curious, has that ever been explored?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, Albertson Engineering, I think, and Andy Scull. Casey, I think it was Casey Peterson first brought this up as well. We did have an engineer look at the site, but the issue is that the areas that we were looking at, there's so much work that needs to be done further out than those properties for infrastructure. The suggestion that we got was tear it down and start over because there's so many issues at that site. We absolutely vetted even, there's some land on the north side of the mall that we looked at as well. I think everything's on the table again, and that's what part of this conversation is, truly to begin finding options. At this point, we've got to be very smart. We have a very tight budget, and it's a very large building. So yes, but I do think that there's an opportunity to look at all options on the table. But again, we've got a finite amount of time to get some things done.
If I may, Bill, just one point of clarification, and maybe Daniel, actually, Daniel, I'll let you explain this because we're going to say the same thing. Daniel Ainsley, our finance director.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In order to, you cannot amend an existing TIF boundary, and so a new TIF district would have to be drawn. And that new TIF district would have a new valuation, and given the amount of time that would be necessary to create a new TIF district, it would probably be 3-4 months. During that time, the base valuation of the Black Hills Energy generation would have already increased, and so there's a decent amount of increment that would be lost just because the new base valuation would be set, say, in July. By that time, there's going to be a lot of construction that will have already occurred, and so we will have permanently lost that base valuation for whatever valuation has been constructed up until the point of the TIF actually being approved. And so that also becomes problematic, that if we go through the entire TIF process again, we don't know if that's going to ultimately be approved. And if it is approved, if it also potentially could be referred as well. And so unfortunately, we would like to amend an existing TIF boundary, but that's just prohibited by the Department of Revenue.
But you can overlay.
You can overlay, but again, if we created a new district over it, the valuation would be higher because construction is currently occurring and would continue to occur.
With Black Hills Energy.
With Black Hills Energy, and we also are not aware of if it would even pass, and if it does pass, whether or not it would be referred.
Next up, we have Councilor Stroman.
Thank you. D'Amico, on your option 4 with the Roosevelt Swim Center and the Roosevelt Ice Arena, what is the number of parking spaces to the east there that currently exist?
I believe it was Vicky 400, somewhere in there.
So that's about half of what you need?
No, we would need an additional 800 for the additional square footage. So that 400 parking spaces, and Vicky staff did provide a master plan for parking, and I can turn it over to you, Vicky. You're the expert.
All right, we're going to go to Community Development Director Vicki Fisher.
I believe it is more than 400 on-site at Roosevelt Pool. They have built 50 extra spaces that they don't need. In addition, Parks and Rec has a future parking expansion plan to show where another 150 could easily fit on-site. So that would give us 200, so we're only short 600 more spaces to try to find to fit somewhere that would not impact the floodway.
Thank you. Yield.
Thank you. Next up, Councilor Pettigrew.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilman Stroman, early on in this stage, educated me on the benefits of a sports complex, and I have some coworkers whose children are in sports and they travel all the time, and I've come to realize how important this asset would be to Rapid City. I would just like, as we make decisions, it seems Rapid City does some wonderful things, and through discussions, I've been made aware that the track field at Sioux Park, for whatever reason, can't hold a state meet because when it came time to build it, they had to modify the size for cost or something. And it seems like the city often, when we want to build these wonderful projects, kind of takes the shortcut, and we're always behind. When we built our Rushmore Plaza Civic Center, I'll never forget, that was the premier institution in 5 states. People talked, look what Rapid City did. And I would just encourage all of us to make sure we put it in the right site. We're not second guessing. We're not wish we woulda, coulda. Let's make sure it's right. And we may have to entertain going outside that district, and we're going to have to find an extra $15 million. I know there's talk of a few other sites being tossed around that I think would be better, but I just want us to really make sure this works, because it has a huge impact, not only economically, but on all the citizens of Rapid City. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Roberts.
Thank you very much. Can I ask our finance director a question? So if the TID boundaries were amended right now, do you know how much valuation has increased?
Mr. Mayor, the valuation, since it's not just a normal commercial project, it's more difficult. It's based on the overall utility valuation within the entire state, and that goes through a PUC process, and so it can't just say based off of the amount of construction activity that's actually occurred there. It's based off of the profitability of Black Hills Energy's assets throughout the entire state of South Dakota. And
That's confusing as hell, so just
Yeah.
give me a number.
So I don't have that.
Get a hold of the PUC and get a number. So I'm just curious about that, because I know what's been done out there so far, you know, which is very little other than grading.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine that the valuation has gone up that much. I would like to have that number. And one of the reasons I'm saying this is I had somebody contact me a few days ago. They're going to be bringing forward a proposal of a site. It does abut the boundaries, and that's kind of why I was curious about this. Unfortunately, I can't go any further than that, because I've given them my promise that I will not, until they bring forward their proposal, I will not bring anything else forward. So. But I would like to, there's got to be a way we can find that number out. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Councilor Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to make a couple of remarks. Option number 4, I think, could be an exciting opportunity, especially with potential for the Innovation District. So when I saw that, I thought that could be an interesting spot. And then I think, just to echo what President Pettigrew said, that we get one chance to do this, and I think we should make sure we do it right. So whoever is lucky and gets to sit up here in 20 years doesn't have to look back and say, gosh, I wish they would have done it right the first time. So thank you for the presentation.
Thank you. If I may, just a couple of points. Good discussion on this. You know, we are determined to bring this to life, and I agree with you, Councilor Pettigrew. I don't think any of us want to do it shortchange it. If we're going to do it, let's do it right. 2, I've been very gracious from the Lean family, obviously still very willing to donate the land, but even more because of that lack of development, there are some things that no longer have to happen. 143rd does not have to be built all the way through, and there are some savings that we're going to look at through that, and it's looking like potentially there could be other partnerships to shared parking and some things like that that would really help cut the cost. So I do want to say that there's some real possibilities at the original location. But to D'Amico's point, we did feel like it was wise to look at all the options within the Catalyst District, just to look at it, you know, and I think that's important. And we know it. We're pretty fortunate to have as much funding secured as we have for this. And, you know, and I think the other thing to look at is the opportunity cost, that whenever you build something like this, you know that there's going to be development in and around that area, and that could be very beneficial to the community as well. So we'll continue to work on this, and obviously down the road, we'll hopefully in the near future, we'll bring a recommendation forward. But D'Amico, I appreciate you taking the time to fill us in on some of these discussions, as well as your help and your passion for this project. It's noted and appreciated. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave Dolan, as well, who's here from the Sports Commission. Excuse me. So now we will move on to general public comment. This is a 3-minute period and a time for members of the public to discuss or express concerns to the council on any issue not on the agenda. Action will not be taken at the meeting on any issue not on the agenda except by placement on the agenda by unanimous vote of the council members present. I have a few speaker request forms. We will begin with Anthony Wright. Anthony, you've done this before, but you have 3 minutes right over there. And welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Anthony Wright, and I serve on the Student Senate and Governmental Relations Committee at South Dakota Mines. I'm here to briefly share student priorities and campus activity that directly intersect with the Rapid City community. One topic students are actively engaging with is the rail yard relocation and reconfiguration study. Students recently attended the first public meeting and are interested in how potential rail realignment could affect campus safety, connectivity, noise levels, and future expansion near the SD Mines Innovation District. Student Senate will be gathering student input and sharing a preliminary summary with the city as the study continues. I'd also like to highlight State Higher Education Days, or SHED. Remind students recently engaged with the legislative process at the state capitol. SHED gives students the opportunity to meet with state leadership and represent higher education priorities tied to workforce development and economic growth. During SHED, students engage with state officials, including the governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, legislative leadership, and the CEO of the South Dakota Community Foundation, reinforcing the connection between higher education and community outcomes. Another issue students engaged with this session was House Bill 1133, which proposed changes to campus carry policy. Student Senate conducted a campus survey with 475 respondents. Results showed 58% opposed, 39% in favor, with the remainder undecided. The bill did not advance out of committee. We believe sharing this data demonstrates how students are thoughtfully engaging in policy discussions related to campus safety and community well-being. Tomorrow, School of Mines is hosting its career fair, bringing 156 employers, both local and national, to the Rapid City community to recruit from over 1,000 STEM students. Events like this support workforce development while also bringing economic activity and professional engagement into the city. I'd also like to take a moment to thank Councilman Lance L. for touring the South Dakota Mines campus last week with Student Senate leadership. We appreciate his willingness to engage directly with student body and to begin ongoing dialogue about strengthening South Dakota Mines' presence and connection with Rapid City community. Looking ahead, we also appreciate that Mayor is scheduling to visit Student Senate on February 18th to continue conversations around collaboration between the city and South Dakota Mines as we look forward to building on that relationship. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Next up, Craig Carley.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, Council Advisors. I don't have anything prepared. A little background, I moved here 3 years ago from Los Angeles. Please don't hold that against me. If you talk to me, you'd think I was a Rapid Cityite. But I do have a concern about crime and graffiti. I've noticed in the short 3 years that I've been here an increase. And I come from a town in Southern California that was riddled with graffiti. We had a little town next door to us. You guys probably have heard the name, Compton, California. I live directly across the river from there. And when I say river, it's a big concrete river. It's not like what we have here. Where graffiti comes crime. And where crime is, violent crime is. And that, of course, is followed by drugs and what have you. I commend our police department and our sheriff's department. They're doing a great job. I know they're understaffed and most likely, like every other police department, underpaid. But I just don't want it to get away. I don't want it to be, yeah, there's more graffiti, but we got to do this. Yeah, there's more this, but we got to do that. Because one day you look up and you go, what happened? What happened? It does. I lived it. And some of you folks have never lived outside of South Dakota. I kind of wish I hadn't. I had a great career there, but it's different. It's a different way of life. And it does. The graffiti it's just the start of the cancer, and it will grow. So the other side of it, or not the other side of it, but the other thing I'd like to bring up, I know the homeless population is a big issue, but there's more to it than just the homeless population. I see it every day, the trash left behind from where they're begging on the streets. And it just makes our city look like crap, I'm sorry. It makes our city look like crap. And yes, this is my city. I retired here intentionally. I wasn't born here, I retired, I came here, and this is my city. I hate it looking like it looks. I hate the graffiti, I hate the trash. You know, the homeless population, that's a whole different social issue, but we've got to tighten it up. And it will get away, and those two are tied together. And I appreciate the parks, not the parks, but the park rangers, what they're doing, because I go to Vicky Powers Park, I live up on that side of town, and I don't know if that's PD or if it's SO, but there's drugs and alcohol in there daily. So anyway, I'm out of time. Thank you guys for all you do. I appreciate you. I really do. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll look at that graffiti. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your feedback. Next up, Brian Peck.
Well, Happy New Year.
Hello.
I think you guys all know my goal. I'm a problem solver, I'm hoping. I'm working with the homeless people on the streets. There's it's an incredible problem. And we've talked about it tonight numerous times. If we can end the homeless situation on the streets of Rapid City, it solves a number of problems. What I've done this week is I'm basically auditing the bus service. If our bus service was what it should be, we wouldn't need parking. We wouldn't need parking for the sports center. We could eliminate most of the parking issues. I live in the old hospital on 11th Street. We have 80 apartments. There's 18 people that have cars in that because they live downtown. Parking has to be looked at different because we're in a whole different zone if we're in the downtown area. If we have good buses that service the people, the thing that has really annoyed me about the bus service that we're paying for is that they don't work nights and weekends. I want to go to church on Sunday on a bus. I'm on a fixed income. I need to get to church on Sunday. They don't even work on Sunday. They don't work on Saturday afternoon. I've walked the last week in 20 below weather monitoring how the buses work. It sucks horribly. They don't run after 5:30. I want to go to the sheepdog trials tonight. There's no buses. I mean, seriously? So my answer to the problem, because when I come here, I want to have an answer, not just a problem. I went down to the bus station. It says free to students. I said, great. I want to go to Corral Drive School. Oh, we don't go that far. Well, how about Stevens? I want to go over to, well, we don't go there. I mean, seriously, we had some kids that got killed on the street because, what, they want to go out and drive from one guy to the next, and they got killed on the highway because we don't have bus service at night. Seriously? I mean, I'm so appalled by the money that we spend on buses. So the answer is this: 37 vehicles sitting over here. All of the city employees that work here and do inspections need to be using the bus system.
All right, that will conclude our general public comment, and we will move on to non-public hearing items 2 through 32 and open public comment for items 2 through 29. I have no speaker request forms for those items, so we will close the public comment and move on to consent items 2 through 29. Would the council like to remove any item for separate consideration or approve all the items as is? Councilor Pettigrew.
16, please.
Okay, Councilor Stroman.
Number 5, please.
Okay. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve items 2 through 29 with the exception of 5 and 16.
So moved.
Got a motion by Pettigrew with a second by Tamang. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. We will move on to item number 5, authorize mayor and finance officer to sign a professional services agreement with TSP Inc. for Fire Station number 9 and park improvements, project number 2858, CIP number 10002 in the amount of $589,406. Councilor Stroman, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a question that I'm not sure who can answer it, but it seems like this went from a current contract amount of $78,380, and then there's a change requested for $589,406 for a new contract amount of $667,786. It's like an 850% increase. And I don't know what accounts for that kind of an increase on this project. And I guess the second question I have is, do we have plans or schematics or designs that we have previously used on other fire stations that would be applicable here so we don't have to reinvent the wheel? So I don't know who can answer those, but.
All right. We are going to, looks like Public Works Director Mike Tice is chiming in. Mr. Tice, and then we'll have the fire chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I believe this was part of the original scope that was planned for, but the original portion of this contract was just for the schematic designs to essentially to figure out what they needed to do for the design. So the remaining portion here is for the actual design of the project as well as construction management of the project and all of the bidding process that goes along with that.
And fire chief wants to chime in as well. Jason Culberson.
I think Mr. Tice explained that absolutely perfectly. For the other portion, the last station we built was in 2009, I believe, was designed. And it does not fit on this site. We'd have to redesign it anyway, since new codes and et cetera have been done since that time. So, yes, we do need to redesign a new building, especially since we're trying to purpose-built this for the hazardous materials station. Oh, yeah. And the police precinct is the additional part to that, which none of our other fire stations have that. Thank you.
These also have park improvements as well. So this is.
Yeah, and that's the fire station portion is only a part of that entire design. The design includes both the park and the fire station police precinct.
And as a reminder, this is part of the Homestead TIF development. So just as a reminder of everybody where that's coming from. Good questions. Anything else, Mr. Stroman?
No, I yield. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we got a motion by Tamang to approve. The second by Bieberdorf. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 16. Approve request from Rapid City Sports Commission for the removal of yard waste and recycling containers from the remote collection site adjacent to Fitzgerald Stadium for the duration of annual tournaments, including the Black Hills Veterans Classic Firecracker Tournament, Dave Plouffe Legacy Tournament, and American Legion State A Tournament. Containers will be removed no more than 3 days in advance of the tournament and returned no more than 3 days after to allow for removal, cleanup, and resetting activity. Councilor Pettigrew, you pull this item.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to, I guess, bring it to our attention, even prior to being on the city council, when I watch I'm one of 6 people who watch these on YouTube. This comes up every year, every year, every year, every year, every year. Why don't we find a different place for this? Why are we continually having to vote on this, continually invest resources to move it? It just doesn't make sense to me. In business, you know, you learn if you do it multiple times, maybe you got to change the way you're doing things and correct that. But and I know Mike and I have talked. He's new. I give him a lot of credit. I really like him. But I think we should really look at finding a different location for this so it saves us money, time, and energy. Thank you.
You know, I agree with you. And Mr. Tice, let's look into that, please. I think that's a great point. Councilor Roberts?
Thank you very much. And yes, this has been a discussion that's been going on for years now. I've always thought the location just to the south of there on the east side of the road where that cul-de-sac is would be a perfect location because we've got a cul-de-sac in the middle of basically nowhere that used to have houses, I guess, around it before the flood. I always thought, you know, that would be a good location. We take out the curbs and put in a little parking, and there we've got our recycling, and the city owns the property.
It's worth evaluating. It looks like Mr. Tice wants to chime in on that.
Well, I couldn't agree more with the looking at a different site, and we are looking at a couple different options, looking at the footprint that's required for those sites, but we do have a couple in mind that we're doing the layouts on to see if they'll work, but definitely agree with the comments that we need to move that site long term.
All right. Good discussion on that, and I appreciate that, Mr. Pettigrew. With that, though, can we get a motion on this? Okay, a motion by Pettigrew with a second by Lehman. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to the end of the consent items. We will move on to non-consent items 30 through 32 and open public comment for items 30 through 32. I have no speaker request forms for items 30 through 32, so we will close the public comment and move on to item 30, authorize staff to seek proposals for engineering services for Eglin Street traffic study, project number 2884.1, the CIP number 51214. Councilor Pettigrew.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not questioning the recommendation here. I thought I voted against this, but apparently I didn't. But, okay. I guess I just don't understand, and it's been explained to me why we have to spend $200,000 to do this study. I just think we have smart engineers. You know, I've been told they're busy. I get that. As I understand it, maybe someone could correct me, this project wouldn't happen for maybe 3 years. Is that true? 2 years? So I don't know what it takes to design and put all this in, but I just don't know why we can't carve time into our engineers' time and do this in-house, but I guess I'm in the minority on that. Thank you.
Councilor Stroman.
Thank you, Mayor. And I guess I'd also add to that, we do come up with needs for traffic studies on a pretty regular basis. And I know we only have one traffic engineer who's doing a great job and working really hard. But I'm wondering for $200,000 a study, if maybe we should look at hiring another traffic engineer to do those studies, and then we wouldn't have to keep farming this out. And I guess my only other thing is, I wondered if Mr. Roberts would chime in and give us a little history on this particular study or what's been done out there, because I don't have that information, but that's all. I yield.
Okay. Director Tice is chiming in. Public Works Director?
So we've done a little bit more research in the engineering group on this project. I think there was a question raised about whether this was originally designed for 5 lanes on Eglin Street. They were not able to find any designs, so all the designs they found only showed the 3 lanes for that area. So I think the question was, could we just dust off those old plans, take a look at those, and not have to redesign everything for the traffic? The point in question on this one is the traffic study, though, and leading up to what do we need to do out on Eglin Street for it. As Mr. Pettigrew pointed out, we've got a very, very good staff, very qualified staff to perform studies. The issue is the time that he has to be able to do that. I also agree that, you know, as I have assessed what they have for needs and projects, and I see our traffic engineer pulled into a lot of different topics and a lot of discussions on new developments, all kinds of lighting projects, things like that. So I do think there's a need to maybe add some staffing there that could help out with that. A lot of the developments that we do necessitate a traffic study, so I think we could perform more of those in-house if we had the staffing to do that, but I don't feel like our current traffic engineer has the time to be able to do this one.
Okay. Councilor Roberts.
Thank you very much. Mike, you should have gave me a call. I could have those plans for you tomorrow. So, I know the city had a copy of them, but I know that the developer has also copies in the originals. I've seen the plans. Originally, it was designed for 5 lanes. That's why, if you look at the north side of the road out there, the fire hydrant's set so far back, and so do the sidewalks, because originally in this project, there was an agreement when 50% of Rushmore Crossing came in, then the other 2 lanes were supposed to come in. Unfortunately, we had a public works director back then, way before my time, that intentionally, I think, lost those documents or did something with it. It's amazing how things get lost sometimes. But there were plans, there were changes that were made to them. I know that the egress on the north side, they were changed, so some of them offset on the other side, and I think that's one of the reasons that you need the traffic study, because you have to figure out where you're gonna place lights at, even though I could probably drive out there and tell you where they should be. I think anybody in Rapid City could that goes out there. But again, those plans are available. If you guys can't find them, you can have them tomorrow if you really want to see them. So it was a great project that somehow, and it still is a great project, don't get me wrong, but it would have been a better project if the city hadn't dropped the ball back then. And because there was a lot of discussion from what I've heard from people that were actually on the council back then and people that were involved, there was a lot of discussion about would there ever be enough traffic to, 4 or 5 lanes to be able to, So that's why they took it down to the 3 lanes instead of the 5 lanes that were originally designed for that project. So anyway.
Mr. Roberts, we'd appreciate you sharing that if you could. That'd be helpful.
Oh, absolutely.
All
Yeah,
right.
I can get the city the
get it over
plans
to
tomorrow.
Mike. That'd
Yep.
be great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Tamang.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's been fun being on council for 6-7 months, figuring out all this engineering stuff. Don't know anything about it till I started learning. Boy, it's complicated and it's deep. And one thing I've learned as a general rule throughout my career in life is, typically speaking, when you got something complicated and deep, you want the people closest to the work making the decisions on whether you bring in an outside consultant. You don't necessarily want people playing engineer deciding whether you should bring in a consultant or not. You also don't typically want people that don't have an understanding of engineering, like myself, deciding on what projects you should or should not bring in outside counsel. Now, it's good to have, I think, presentations and ask questions and understand those sorts of things, but I just want to convey that I have a strong degree of support for what you're trying to do, and I don't feel like you have to decide. You should do what makes the most sense and not what pressure you're getting from an elected group. And you should obviously be able to explain your reasonings, but I just want to convey from my standpoint, I want to trust that the city staff are going to bring forward the best solution, not the politically expedited one that the council is most likely to support. So thank you for what you do. Very much appreciate it. I yield.
Councilor Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think there's maybe 2 conversations happening in parallel. One is there a way to help the staffing? And then there's one is, how do we fix Rushmore Crossing? And I'm like, we have to do that. It is a nightmare. I see poor sons of guns trying to go left on Saturday, and I'm like, oh, you don't even know. And so I'm like, I feel like tactically, as it relates to whatever item we're on, I'm like, I couldn't be more supportive of figuring out how to improve that area of town. I yield.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely a need out there. So I am looking for a motion on this item. All right, we got a motion by Bieberdorf with a second by Tamang. All in favor? Any opposed? We have 3 noes from Pettigrew, Stroman, and Roberts, and Lehman, and I guess I didn't. My hearing must be going. Heidi, I would like to do a roll call vote, please.
Bieberdorf. Tamang. Evans. Meyer. Lehman. Maher. Roberts. Stroman.
No.
Pettigrew.
No.
The noes win 5-4.
Okay. What we'll do is see if we can find whatever those plans are, and we got to do something out there. So if anybody has a better idea, we'd love to hear it. Item 31, a request by Renner Associates LLC for S7 LLC for preliminary subdivision plan for proposed Lot 4 of Parker subdivision, generally described as being located at 3050 Jolly Lane. The recommendations to approve with stipulations. Motion by Tamang with a second by Bieberdorf to approve with stipulations. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion. Councilor Evans or Roberts, are you approve or? Yes. Okay. All right. Any opposed? All right. Motion carries. Item 32, authorize staff to advertise for bids for 2025 MIP Streets and Drainage Project number 2842, CIP number 5029.25A with an estimated cost of $385,000. A motion by Bieberdorf with a second by Maher. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to the public hearing items 33 through 36, and we will open the public hearing for items 33 through 36. I have no speaker request forms for items 33 through 36, so we will close the public hearing and move on to consent public hearing items 33 through 34. Would the council wish to remove any items for consideration or approve them all? Got a motion by Roberts? Second by Evans to approve items 33 and 34. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to the end of the consent public hearing calendar. We will move on to non-consent public hearing item 35. Second reading of ordinance number 6702, an ordinance amending section 17.06 of the Rapid City Municipal Code, a request by City of Rapid City for rezoning request from public district to heavy industrial district for property generally described as being located at 5055 South Highway 79. Got a motion by Tamang with a second by Bieberdorf. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 36, second reading of ordinance number 6703, an ordinance amending section 17.06 of the Rapid City Municipal Code, a request by TUI Design Group for Watershed Development 2, LLC, for a rezoning request from no use district to low density residential district 2 for property generally described as being located north of northern terminus of Cloud Peak Drive. Got a motion by Lehman with a second by Roberts. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Looks like we have a need for an executive session to discuss pending litigation. Do we have a motion to go into executive session? Motion by Meyer with a second by Maher to go into executive session. All in favor? All in favor? Any opposed? We're in executive session. Thank you. right, we'll entertain a, all right, we have a motion to come out of executive session by Lehman with a second by Maher. All in favor? Any opposed? We're out of executive session. We have no need for staff direction today, so we will move on to the bill list, item 37. With that, we'll go to Finance Director Daniel Ainsley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The bill list for Main Street Square and Visit Rapid City total $117,719.71.
Motion by Tamang, second by Maher. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries with one abstention from Meyer. Item 38, back to Finance Director Ainsley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The remaining bills total $11,514,039.73.
Motion by Tamang, second by Meyer. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Looks like we need a motion to adjourn. Got a motion by Pettigrew with a second by Stroman. All in favor? Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.